Hi, my name is Sia and I am a student from Mumbai. Amazing. Who am I? Who are you? I'm sure all of us have been in a situation like this before, where we were expected to summarize our entire existence in just a few words. Where do you even start? Your career? That's just a role you play. Your hobbies? They change every few months. Your achievements? Now that's just bragging. None of these answers feel right because they don't define you, they just categorize you into socially accepted boxes. So, allow me to rewind and take you through the journey of how you came to be you. It all started in your incredibly complex brain. Your brain is made up of neurons, special cells designed to transmit information via electrical signals, or neurotransmitters. These signals control your motivation, mood regulation, social interactions, and responses to stress and emotion. You've probably heard of these before. They're called dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and cortisol. The balance between these chemicals dictate how you interpret and react to situations. Everything you see, do, feel, creates, and strengthens your neural pathways, forming your perspective, which acts as a filter for your brain, processing the sensory data you receive. Let's take color, for example. Color just does not exist the way we perceive it. The red you see here, well, those are just particles moving in certain wavelengths reflecting off of objects, which your brain makes red for you. Now, what this essentially means is that two people could be experiencing the exact same moment, but walking away with completely different interpretations. Not because the moment itself changed, but because their brain had different filters on. In John Locke's words, the certainty of our knowledge is limited to our ideas. We don't experience reality directly, we experience our mind's curated version of it. Ultimately, the concept of objectivity is a psychological illusion. Whatever it even is unknown to us. While striving for objectivity is essential, we'll always be captive to our minds. Our brains could be the strongest of the telescopes, but the lens is still tinted with biases impossible to eliminate. Perhaps objectivity is entirely a subjective concept, fabricated by our own perceptions to make sense of everything. Which brings me to my next question. Why do we want to make sense of everything? Why do we want to know who we are or the purpose of life? Why are we so determined to search for meaning that when we don't find it, we create it ourselves? Take constellations, for example. Someone looked up at scattered stars and decided to form stories and art. Someone spent their entire life dedicated to researching medicines to save strangers. We sent out satellites, not with just data, but sweet messages and sounds of rain. Because in the end, we all are just curious little loving creatures. But this curiosity, this drive for answers often stems from fear. The fear of being insignificant and purposeless. This fear is deeply rooted in our mindsets. Everything we do must have a purpose. We seek validation from other people. We say beauty is pain and praise is suffering. Even our passions must lead to success to be considered important. When someone asks you, what do you want to do when you grow up? What they're really asking is how will you justify your existence? Because sitting with this doubt feels unbearable, and without the constant pressure, we're forced to confront how small and replaceable we might be. So instead of facing the consequences, we fill the silence with checklists and to do lists and accomplishments just to convince ourselves that our existence isn't random. But here's my take on the situation. What if the meaning of life is to give life meaning? Meaning, the meaning we're all searching for is life, and so searching for life's meaning is meaningless. This life is all the meaning we need to live a meaningful life. You don't owe any explanations for doing things that make you happy. There's no checklist for you to accomplish. You decide if you're satisfied with your existence. And if you're not, then it's time to take the reins because life isn't a fairy tale. You're not going to be handed a prophecy to fulfill, and you're not going to have a moment where everything clicks into place. But you have time and you have choice. So choose to spend the time wisely, doing things that make you happy, spending it with the people you love, and building something that makes life worth living for you. Because the moral of the story is no moral of the story. There's no end point for you to reach. The magic happens with the fact that you write it. I'm not trying to give you any magical, life changing advice here, but I do want you to pause and I want you to feel your existence in this world. Start taking a deep breath in and closing your eyes. Feel your feet touching the ground and think of the foundations of this building seeping into the soil. Think of how that land stretches for miles in every direction. Zoom out till you see Dubai, then the UAE, the surrounding countries, the oceans, and our planet. It feels huge, doesn't it? But that's the thing. It's only huge for us. For the universe, we're just a pale blue dot. Insignificant in scale and lost in an endless depth. But that little dot, that holds everything we could possibly dream of. Single one of the 8 billion people call this planet home. We share its air, its resources, everything it has to offer. This planet is all we know, and we are its life. I want you to take a look at your hands. Notice how the blood seeping through your veins is made up of elements like hydrogen, nitrogen, and iron. Let me tell you a story of where they come from. 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang occurred, creating these elements. Fast forward a couple 100 million years and you'll find the first ever stars. These stars fused even more elements, and when they exploded into the universe, they formed gas clouds, which then formed more stars and this time planets too. Now repeat that cycle for about 10 billion years while the universe is constantly expanding at speeds I don't even know how to say, and finally we arrive to the creation of our planet Earth, which then went to create all of us. Now, I don't know why or how, and that's okay, because not everything needs to be understood or justified, just felt. So, here's a thought for the next time you're unsure. The odds of you existing with this exact DNA at this exact time under these exact conditions are so undeniably small that they're almost zero, and yet here you are, which is what matters. You're here and you're part of something so much bigger than yourself. You are the universe. Thank you.